Hey guys, welcome back to Scaling Beautifully, the podcast where we pull back the curtain on what it really takes to grow a thriving beauty business. I'm Haley, a corrective skin specialist and spa owner who's in the trenches every day with clients.
And I'm Adriana, a tax strategist who specializes in beauty businesses, helping pros like you master the money, tax, and legal side of growth. Together, we'll tackle the small, unglamorous tasks that build a strong foundation so you can stop hustling in circles and start scaling beautifully. Think of this as a resource for what happens after your client or customer leaves. I'm just like, this is going to be a good episode. So today we're talking about money habits, what's keeping you stuck, and just breaking those cycles and smarter financial habits. So we're going to talk about the quiet habits that keep business owners stuck because it's not always about how much you make, it's about how you manage what you make.
Yes, I do
So,
also want to keep reiterating too that when people market, and this is such a weird marketing strategy, like please stop. When you market and say, oh, I'm a six-figure esthetician, most of those estheticians are not bringing home six figures. Their business is generating six figures. However, your overhead can easily be six figures.
right.
So that does not mean that taking home six figures. And I just kind of want to like pull back the veil on that statement and that marketing strategy. It's not even a good marketing strategy. Like, stop. Clients don't want to know that. They don't want to hear that. It's very weird and they don't understand what that looks like for us. But also, it's super misleading to like estheticians or beauty professionals who are starting out and what that looks like. Because in my business, baby, I spend six figures. It's
Yeah.
very easy for me to six figures in like the first quarter. So I want to kind of like change what that means. And when you hear that, I want you to kind of think about the things we're going to talk about and start looking and take that magnifying glass and look in and say, okay, your business makes six figures, but are you bringing home six figures? Is this somebody that I want to look up to? Is this somebody that I want to try to learn from? Because I just hate that. And so I want to talk about it every time.
For one, it's a great thing. If your business is hitting six figures, that's a huge accomplishment. But that's the business hitting six figures. Now let's talk about how you're managing that money because I work with numbers all day, every day, and I have seen six-figure esthetician businesses or beauty businesses, right? The business is bringing in six figures, but I have seen it to where somebody who's making $50,000 a year in their business is profiting more than the six figures. So you could go online and you could talk like, oh yeah, I'm a six figure so and so, whatever. Because I mean, it doesn't just happen in the beauty industry. It happens with all industries that, yeah, I'm six figures, but in reality, your business is six figures, but you're not. And to me personally, I'm just like, it matters what you keep, like what you're bringing home. That's what truly
That's
matters
what I was going to
because, yeah, because all in all, like, yeah, you could make six figures and bring six figures, but what are you doing with that money? Like, how are you managing what you're really making? How are you like setting yourself up for the future, right? Like, what are we doing to stay wealthy, not to just get rich quick, but to stay wealthy and essentially growth that generational wealth?
Also, six figures does not have to be your goal. You can bring home a very good income and not have your business profit six figures. We want to teach you the difference between, oh, my business makes a lot of money and I bring home a lot of money. I'm set up for success. My family is secure. I know about retirement. I know what to do with my money and my taxes. We want to teach you that instead of you just hustling to be like, make a cute little post that's like, I'm a six-figure esthetician because there's just so many more layers to that. So we want to give you like the smart advice behind it. We want to show you a little
Right.
bit more. Oh, wait,
Here
we
are a
didn't do
few.
our wins and our
Oh,
fails.
yes. And I did actually have that. I totally skipped through my little notes. Okay. Do you want to start or do you want me to go?
No, I need to think because I had a weird
Okay.
week last week.
So I'll start with my fail. I actually realized this morning I did a consultation on, I think it was Thursday, this past Thursday. And I actually just right now, as we were going through our emails, I saw that I always do like a call email and I send out these emails to the clients or to the people that I speak with. I didn't send her the recap. So I'm just like, I'm going to have to go in and apologize. I'm like, I just saw that I never sent you the email recap. I'm so sorry, but that was a fail because I try to be on top of my emails and that was a complete fail for
Mhm.
me. A win, we're getting stuff done around the house finally. Like my son, a big one that like stands out right now. It's like my son, he has a bed, but it's like the bed where like it has the little ladder and it has the desk underneath. So like you have to go up the little ladder to like lay on the bed. Well, my son, my oldest, he's 11, but he is 5'2". I'm pretty sure he's 5'3" now, and he weighs like 145 pounds. Like that boy is big, but like he's like real stocky, like real strong, and it's a pain. I know it's a pain for him to go up and down those little stair or the little ladder. So we ended up buying him a normal bed now. So we're gonna like redecorate his room and everything to where it's gonna be easier for him to get in and out. I remember when we first bought him the bed, that was like a few years ago. So he was a lot smaller. He fell a couple of times. And yeah, I know I was
Yeah.
like thinking like my poor baby, but it's like, in the morning you're sleepy and he would like miss a step or something. But he was the one who wanted that bed. So now I'm just like, now not, now that's not the
Yeah.
bed that you actually truly
My
wanted.
my 6-year-old had that bed and we literally just got rid of it last month. He was so excited when we bought it and he hated that bed. I'm like, if
Yeah.
I could give advice to other moms, don't buy the
Don't
damn
buy the bed.
stair
Yes.
loft bed. They hate
Yes.
it. It's really hard to get up there on those little
Mhm.
stairs. And then once he was up there, he was so scared to get down and he never used the desk. So like we just got rid of it and got him a regular bed last month.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, he doesn't even need a desk. And but I'm just like, yeah, I'm just like, you're the one who wanted it. So now now you know.
Yeah.
But
Just
that's a
don't buy
win.
the
That's
loft
gonna be
bed.
a win for us. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to think. I had a weird week last week. I did not enjoy last week in business. Not because it wasn't like good or profitable. It was. There was just a lot going on. So we started Google and Meta ads, which I'd never done before. So kind of, and I'm having somebody help me do it like professionally, who is becoming an expert in that area. So it's not like we just threw money at the wall and see what it did. We had a good strategy, but it was kind of hard letting go of that money. So I don't know if that feels like a fail. We did have some good traction on our website, some really good traction. So I'm hoping that, and we had some orders. So we're collecting those emails for email marketing. So I'm hoping they come back for things like Black Friday. So I don't know if that's a win or a fail. I feel very neutral about it. I see both sides. Like it was scary to spend that money for the first time, but then we did get good traction. We like went to war with our mailman at our business and he left me a bad Google review. So I'm like, that feels like a fail for sure. But we are prepped really well for, and we're ongoing getting that situation taken care of with the post office. They're a union, so it's a little difficult. So I'm learning all about how unions operate. But hopefully by the end of the year, we get that taken care of. And that was a fail though, because girl, why you do my Google like that? But we do a review raffle at the end of the year, so like the good reviews are going to far outweigh the bad ones, and we get to give back to our clients. But we feel really prepped for Black Friday, which we're launching this week, the week before Black Friday. So I'm really excited about that to see what it does. I really utilize Black Friday for a few different things. We do Angel Tree in my business. We calculate how many late cancellation fees we have for the year, and we try to do 50% of those towards Angel Tree. We're going to be putting into our 401ks for me and two of my employees for Black Friday. And I'm going to try to pay off one of my machines that I'm financing with Black Friday. And I have a goal that I want to put in savings after Black Friday too. So I'm hoping I'll report back if we hit all of those things by the end of the year. So that feels like a win to me. I'm excited.
Yeah, no, I'm actually excited for your Black Friday too. Haley also texted me over the weekend and she's just like, I'm going to, what did you say? Something about Angel
Oh, I
Tree?
was like,
And
I don't know if I have the money, but I'm just going to do Angel Tree through my business until my heart's desire, you know?
right.
That one TikTok of that girl being super like, did you see that? Do you know what I'm
I
talking about?
actually did see that. Yeah, there's like right now like a whole angel tree debacle on
I
TikTok.
hate her. I hate her. You're
Yeah.
a nasty woman. And she's like a boy mom, so she was not excited to get the girl angel tree. And I'm like, as a boy mom, I don't like you. So I do angel tree every year. The first year I opened my business, my kids actually had to be on angel tree for the first time. And man, that was probably like one of the lowest points in life. I couldn't even provide Christmas because it was during the pandemic and my husband worked in aviation and I was within the first 4 months of my business and we were rationing $100 a week on groceries for a family of five. So there was like no way we were doing Christmas. So we did Angel Tree that year and ever since I'm always like we have to do it every year to like give back for doing that. So last year we did I think 7 people on the Angel Tree. They were in families, so we did 2 different families of 7 people total on Angel Tree. So I want to see how many we can do this year.
Yeah. No, and I love that. And you know, that's one thing too that I'm very passionate about in like running a business. I don't talk about this at all, which I feel like I should just to share the awareness out there, but part of like being successful is giving back, you know, and like
Yeah.
I feel like because I also do Angel Tree and then like I for a long time I would donate to back home to like Honduras. So I think I mentioned this before, guys. I'm half Mexican, half Honduran, and there was a school in Honduras over there by like where my parents' home or my dad's hometown is, and they worked as like a private school in the morning, and then in the evenings it turned into like this nonprofit to where all the kids that couldn't afford going to school because they have to work or they have to do things for right, they just can't go to school for whatever reason they would go to this school in Honduras. Sometimes that would be because in that school they gave them food and they gave them like uniforms and sometimes most of the times a lot of those kids that was the only food that they ate is because that was the only food that they could get, you know. And I do remember too, like the school was able to give everybody. I think it was Bob's. Do you know those shoes, Bob's? They're not like they're
Yes,
like Tom's,
like
but Bob's.
Tom.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes, yes. Everybody would they were able to get some, and I'm just like you know, just like little things like that. I had like my little person that I sponsored, you know, every month, and my little student. I think I even sponsored up to like 2 kids. But it was like up until they graduated and they gave them really great like education because they would teach them English and it was a lot of like the education that the private school did. They gave them, you know, and I'm just like I'm really big whenever it comes to like education and like giving back and I'm just like this is perfect for me. But like
Right.
I'm just like when you get to the point that you can give back, I'm just like definitely do it. Plus on top of that, I'm just like it helps like if you're donating like tax wise I'm just like tax wise it's beneficial
Yeah.
too, so I'm just like those are just little things, but I love that you do that and I love that you're very outspoken with it too, and I'm just like that's something that I need to kind of start doing and speaking more of is you know just charity and like donations and things like that.
Yeah, I'm just not really a things person. Like
Mm.
they're probably gonna see through these episodes. I wear like the same type of clothes every day. And they're all from like Amazon. I just like don't care about things.
Yeah.
I don't really care about shoes. I like purses. I like to collect Coach purses, but that's about all. I don't care to have the nicest car. I like to like do things that make me feel good. So I'm
Right.
like, maybe one day through beautifully we could go there and like volunteer and do a fundraiser or
Yeah.
something and make our kids
I would
go.
love
I'm
that.
very big about
Yeah.
making
Oh yeah.
boys participate. Like when we do Angel Tree, I make them go shopping and I'm like, you're gonna help pick things out because you need a reality check to understand
Mhm.
that like other people are not as fortunate as you and like we're gonna help give back. So I want them to be
Right.
really mindful about stuff too. So I'm like, maybe when they're teenagers, we can take them to do something like that through the podcast.
I
Those are
would love
like
to do
my
that.
goals.
No, and I feel like I'm very similar to like I'm a very I always say like I'm very simple, very basic, but I do have my priorities. Like I do love vacationing. One of my favorite vacations, I was actually just talking to my neighbor about it over the weekend, is I love going to Tennessee. This little small town called Gatlinburg, and I love it so much. And we probably I think last time we went and this is for a family of four. We stayed there for about 5 days including hotel and everything. I think we probably just spent like $1,200 and that
That's
includes hotel. I know that includes hotel, that includes food, guys, and all the activities that we did. But it's because it's so like, it's very family friendly and like it's out in the nature a lot, you know? So like we're outside, we hike and like we do all these fun little things there. And I'm just like, that I love. Even visiting Honduras, like I love visiting Honduras, even though like I don't go to, there's a lot of beautiful places in Honduras, but like I'm just like, I go with my family and I love it. And like we walk to the beach and like I love it. You know, like those are the types of vacations just where it kind of grounds me, you know, like and just reminds me like this is why I do what I do. Whenever we went to Honduras, my grandparents' house, it's right by a soccer field where all the like neighbor kids play and all of this stuff. I sent Jaden because Jaden likes playing soccer. I sent him over there and he was over there playing soccer with all the, you know, kids and all of this stuff. And I'm just like, this is what I love seeing. Like, we're gonna always visit Honduras. So you know, and like we take showers with like no hot water over there. It's like freezing. I would run from like corner to corner because it's so cold. The water's so cold.
Yeah, trying to get
But
out of the water.
yeah. But I'm just like, I need my kids to understand, you know, that we worked so hard to have the life that we have. And I want them to appreciate it and not really take it for granted. But then on the other side, too, like I'll take them. I had, as I think I mentioned this before, guys, that I'm part of this group called the Millionaires Founders Club. We had a retreat here in Dallas. So since it was at home for one of the days, I actually took my kids and I want him to see, and it's like a group of women. So I have boys and I'm just like, I'm going to take them because I need them to see that women are also badasses, right? And I want them to know that like I want them to be a great partner and like to be supportive of their spouse and you know all of that stuff. So I'm just like I also take them to those events too so they could see like okay, this is what my mom does and like you know the other women do this or even to where like I could also have this type of life if I work hard, you know.
Yeah, me too. I want them to be good people, not,
Yeah,
I don't want them to be a
exactly.
little bad.
Yeah, or like brats or entitled, you know, and I'm just like no,
Yeah.
absolutely
We
not.
literally had a conversation about that last night with my 12-year-old, and like it brought him to tears, and I felt kind of bad. But I was just like, no, like you need to understand this now, where you're going to have a really hard time as an adult. And
Right.
I was later on, I had to talk to him, pull him to the side away from his brothers, and be like, just because we have this talk with you doesn't mean you're a terrible person. We don't think you're a
Mhm.
terrible person. We just want you to learn and like what you say about yourself matters and all these things. And like today he was in a much better mood. I passed the bus
Yeah.
stop and he was like there laughing with everybody. So I was like, okay, parenting win.
But all right, guys. So I want to talk about the common habits that can hold you back, right?
Oh my God,
Um,
we're doing the same thing for y'all that we do with our kids. We're
the
teaching you
what?
good money
Oh,
habits. I said
yes,
the
yes.
same for y'all we do with our kids.
That's so funny. No, seriously. Okay, so first common habit that's holding you back, and this is from like what I see a lot too. And Haley, of course, like anytime that you want to jump in, because I know that you see things too, like on the aesthetic side of things, right? Yeah, so for me, it's avoiding your numbers, right? That's like the number one thing. You don't check accounts or your reports because you just feel stressed or you just have this fear and you avoid checking your numbers. You avoid looking at your numbers. And it's because I feel like a lot of times it's like, I don't see it, like it's not happening, or you're just scared
Out of sight,
of
out of mind.
facing it. Exactly. Or you're
Also,
scared
what
of
that
facing
looks
it.
like too, as the working professional, what that looks like is I will say you have to have a balance. Like, please don't check your monthly income every day. I used to do that and stress myself out. And now I just check it every or every 15th and every last day of the month to kind of understand where I'm at for the month. But it's things like pricing your services, but not knowing how much that service is costing you or getting things like a website and not knowing how many clients you need to take to make up for that. Buying devices and not knowing what you need to price it at to pay it off in a timely manner, or how many services you need to do in order to pay it off, or lowballing your pricing just to bring clients in. That's all included in avoiding your numbers as well.
Right. So you want to make sure you have, and again, guys, I'm just like, I'm going to probably say this every single episode is you want to be intentional with the things that you do because with you avoiding your numbers and avoiding all of that, or just randomly like purchasing a machine or and not really calculating your return of investment of it, right? Or like how Haley said, how many services do I have to do to be able to pay this back? And is that going to be able to be accomplished in 1 month or 3 months or 6 months or 12 months, right? Like that's really going to hold you back. That's going to hold you back a lot because, and this is something I say to a lot of people when I'm doing my new consultations with them is your finances, that's the foundation of your business. And without a solid and strong foundation, it's going to be really hard for you to truly scale and build a profitable business or even a successful business at that, because knowing your numbers will make you help make better business decisions. And within like business decisions, that's including like what you're going to invest in, what you're going to purchase, what your return on investment is going to be for this machine or this new product or whatever the case is. The second common habit that's holding you back is also mixing personal and business funds. This is going to create chaos and tax headaches, and you're not going to be able to really do your bookkeeping properly. You're not going to really know how much you're spending in your business, how much you're profiting, because everything's getting commingled and mixed together. Aside from that, I'm just like, that's a whole thing on its own that I believe I mentioned when we talked about like the business structures. You want to make sure you keep everything separated to truly understand the numbers of your business. Okay. And then on top of that, there's so many other factors that go into separating everything. You want to make sure that you stop mixing personal and business funds. And then paying yourself last, that or just not paying yourself at all, that's going to keep you stuck in survival mode. And I've seen that a lot happen too. That's one of the questions I ask a part of my consultation process is how are you currently paying yourself? And when people say I don't, I'm like, okay, they're probably burnt out.
Yeah,
They're
that's crazy.
yeah, they're probably burnt out. They probably feel like they're working so much and so hard and not getting anything in return. And it's because they're not paying themselves, right? So that's also holding you back. And then ignoring taxes. This one's a big one. Ignoring taxes is going to lead to panic and penalties. It's going to cost you a lot more than what just, paying your taxes or doing your taxes in the beginning, right? It's going to cost you more. And that alone sets so much stress, like it's a huge weight on your shoulders because now it's like you're ignoring your taxes, meaning you're ignoring the IRS, meaning you're ignoring the government. And then you're constantly going to be thinking, are they going to garnish my account? Like what's going to happen? Am I going to go to jail? Like, and you're constantly worrying about that. But then
I
that
don't think
also,
most people know that that is the process of what happens if you do
Mhm.
that. Like, I think people are just not aware. I do want to kind of say too, with mixing business and personal funds, you, as the business owner, if you're not on payroll yet, in a past episode, we talked about the different like filing entities, right? And how they're set up to pay yourself. If you are not on payroll yet, like for me, I'm on payroll. I put myself on a schedule and we reevaluated my payment schedule every month or two on our calls because I was still building my books and getting a little bit busier every month or every week. But we put me on a schedule. So every 1st and 15th, I paid myself a certain percentage of what I was bringing in, and we slowly upped it like every month or two. That way things were nice and even, but we also just organized my bank account on the back end. In the beginning, I had a business checking and a business savings and a business credit card. I have a business tax account that I put money into every week or every month after we put a plan together, me and Adriana, because she does my taxes, my bookkeeping, and all of that. And in the beginning, I had a separate checking for retail. So whenever my website, so any retail bought on my website went to that checking account for retail and not my business checking account. And then in my booking system, I was able to separate services and retail. So service went into my business checking. and retail on my booking went to that retail account. So, because I had a big goal for expanding my retail shelves, and that is how I was able to do it on the back end and keep it nice and organized, curated. We had a strategy in place, and I had a clear path to what I was working towards. There was no chaos like, oh, I'm going to buy this retail and hope I have enough left, or I'm going to set aside money for taxes and I hope I have enough left. I'm going to pay myself and I hope I have enough left. Isn't that like the small plate theory too from Profit First, where you divvy it up everywhere? And I'm even adding another account this coming year it's a dividend, right? A dividend account for some
That,
home
yeah, distribution.
distribution. There we go. I always call
Hmm.
it a dividend, a distribution, which is where you do a transfer instead of a payroll payment from your business to your personal because we need a new AC unit at home. We live in Texas and we are not going to survive much longer without a new AC unit because ours is 20 years old. However, that is an investment of like $20,000 and I don't want to finance it. So,
Right.
putting that plan together in my business, and that's something y'all can do too. You can open up like as many checking savings account as you want within your bank. And I'm pretty sure too, at most of them, they don't charge you for the additional accounts. Like it's just your monthly charge for the one.
I think it all depends on the type of account that you have and who you have it with. Your big typical financial institutions like Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, like you have to meet minimum requirements. But I think there's like one, and usually this is the norm. Like there's one account where it has like a higher monthly maintenance fee, but like in higher maintaining requirements. But if you're able to maintain that without paying the fee, or even if you do pay the fee, but if you're in that one account, then sometimes like you're able to open multiple accounts without having to maintain like those minimum requirements. But there are banks out there, the more online banks nowadays, that don't have a lot of like physical financial institutions to where they don't really have a lot of maintenance fees or any at that or minimum requirements. And you could definitely open a lot. I am Credit unions are also really good to you
I was
when
gonna
it
say
comes
credit
to,
unions. Yeah.
yeah, credit unions. And but yeah, guys, like that's one thing that I work with my clients with too. It's I'm not sure if you've ever read the book called Profit First, but that's a really good book to read as a business owner. And it definitely talks about the small plate theory that Haley mentioned earlier, which is when they talk about it in the book, they kind of compare it to like meals. So usually when you have like a larger plate, you put more food on your plate to fill it up, right? When you have a smaller plate and you fill it up, it's less food than the larger plate, but now you're like taking in less food and you're not going overboard, right, with the food. And you have to kind of have small plates for your accounts, right? Like have accounts and each account will have a different job, but then you're going to have less money in each account, right? Because now it's with you have multiple accounts instead of just the one. And then each account's going to have its job. So then you only have X amount of dollars to spend for that job, right? Read the book, guys. I'm just like, we could definitely talk a little bit more about it in a different episode. This is the budgeting method that I use not only for myself, but with my clients as well, is the profit first method. And it's literally a game changer. But it's also all about mindset too. Like you really have to be disciplined enough to do all these things and to like stop mixing personal and business. I know that's a big like adjustment for a lot of us because you're just so used to using your card or whatever. But like when I'm going to, let's just say Walmart, and I have to buy like ink or paper, planners or pens or whatever for work. But then since I'm at Walmart, I'm like, oh, well, you know what? The kids need cereal or they need waffles or they need this or that. I put it all in my cart, but then whenever I'm checking out, I make sure, okay, all this is personal. This is what I'm going to pay for my personal. And then this is for business and I'm going to pay with my business. Like, so it just takes that extra minute or two of you just kind of getting organized instead of swiping with the first card that you see in your purse or wallet. And then anything you want to say about like ignoring taxes?
Yeah. So first, like paying yourself too is you've got to give yourself a monetary goal. If you're not, as the business owner, if you don't have a monetary goal in mind, what are you working towards? You're not. You're just kind of like stuck in survival mode and hoping you get enough appointments for the week or enough purchases for the week to kind of pay what you may need for bills and hoping you have enough money. I see that a lot when I do coaching calls. Give yourself a monetary goal, and you do need to sit down and do all of your small plates to figure out what you are able to pay yourself after making sure that your overhead is covered and your taxes are paid for. Covered, I mean, but I see so many people that are like, oh, well, if I make like 1,000 this week, then I can maybe pay myself like $300 instead of being like, okay, every 2 weeks, I need to be able to pay myself XYZ to be able to cover all of my personal household things. So I need to put a strategy together to figure out how many appointments I need to get booked. Do I need to look at online sales for products? Do I need to look at virtual clients? And I'm talking from like an aesthetics business because that's what I do. What are other streams in my business that I can look at to help create more income in my business so that I can pay myself, I can cover overhead, I can pay my taxes, but you have to have a number in mind. Even when I like manifest all the time, we talked about this in Patreon, I include that monetary number in my manifestation so that I have a clear path of what I'm working towards. That's also how I stay organized. Do I want to run a promo? Do I want to run a sale? What am I looking at in order to meet that monetary number so that we are scaling, we're working towards a goal, we're doing the building blocks to get there instead of just working aimlessly to kind of hope you have enough. That's super important with paying yourself. And if you don't know how to do that yourself, you would need to look into having somebody help advise you, like somebody like Adriana who does the tax and the bookkeeping, so they can help you get organized and put a plan together. Because every month on our calls, we do a profit and loss. And then we talk about where all my money was allocated, what I paid myself, and how much my business is profiting. And then with that profit, like what is left over after everything, we decide, are we going to put into savings? Am I going to pay myself more? Am I going to give my employee a raise? Are we going to put into 401ks? Are we setting this aside for taxes? If you're not ready to do that organization in your business, or it feels so overwhelming that you're not looking at it and you're avoiding it, you're not ready to run a business.
Right. No, and I 100% agree with you. And that's when either you want to take a step back and kind of reevaluate if running a business is for you, or if it's time for you to outsource that part of running your business, because you don't have to do it all. And this is something that we talked about in the last episode too, right? Is outsourcing. This is where outsourcing is really going to come in clutch for you too. And I'm not just saying this because like this is my industry, but it's just one of the first things that you should outsource is a bookkeeper, a tax
Yes.
professional,
You have
somebody
no
who's
idea
going
where
to
your
help
money is
you
going.
financially. Exactly. If that's not your strong suit, you need to outsource it. You know,
I think even if
like,
it is your strong suit, you need to outsource it because finances are my strong suit. I worked in finances for 4 years. I'm very on top of it. When it came to my business, though, I was just like, I have no idea. Like, I feel like I'm making so much money and then there's nothing left over. I was not prepared for taxes, which is how we ended up working together. That's something I invested in very first before anything else. And that is what helped me get my business where it is today in just only 4 years.
right. And just because we got you completely organized and then from there you knew exactly where you were spending your money. So then what did that lead? That led into you really being mindful in what you're spending and having more of a plan and making those better business decisions. You knew what you had to do to increase or lower the spending or whatever the case was, right? And part of paying yourself too, that's going to be a big one in the profit first, like budgeting method is you want to pay yourself first. You work so hard and you do all these things, but if you're not really seeing like the financial outcome, you're going to get burnt out and you're going to start hating what you're doing and you're not going to want to do this anymore, right? So you even if it's just $200-300 a week, like set that money aside to pay yourself. Like get on a routine, get on a schedule, figure out how much you can pay yourself and pay yourself first. And then from there, start like allocating into your different accounts and giving yourself a budget of how much to spend. And something I say all the time too is just because you're on a budget doesn't mean you're broke. It means that you have
Oh,
a plan for your money, you know?
yeah.
All right. So we went over avoiding your numbers, mixing personal and business, paying yourself last or not at
Yeah.
all, ignoring
Ignoring your
taxes.
taxes is crazy
Right.
too, because I've been on coaching calls where I've been on a call with an esthetician who is seemingly bigger than me, social media speaking. So that makes a lot of people think that financially they're bigger than me,
Mhm.
right? But she was like, I'm doing this call with you because if I have to pay taxes this year, I'm going to have to close my business. And I was just like, what? She had no tax organization. She'd been running her business about the same amount of time I had. And we were doing drastically different numbers. And I mean, like, $300,000 difference a year. That's huge. That's life changing for so many people.
Right.
And but on social media, it kind of looked like my assumption was she was more successful than me, but it was because the organization was not there and she hadn't paid estimated taxes. She wasn't even budgeting for taxes, so the money wasn't there. And she was on a payment plan from the previous 2 years paying back taxes, which now rolled over into the third year, plus what she owed for the third year. So it was becoming unmanageable for her. That's so important. It's
Mhm.
crazy. And I will say too, like having a tax professional on your side opens you up to learning all the other opportunities for how to allocate your money in different ways so that you can keep more of the money you work hard for.
Right.
Because the more you make, the more they take. You do have to really learn all the different ways to, I guess, allocate so that
Strategize. Hmm.
strategize your money, put a little bit over here in this account and put a little bit categorized over here as this and pay out children like this and pay your spouse like this and 401k this and all these other high yield savings to help you keep more of what you're making and how much to invest. And if you want to give back to charity and like what all those write-offs look like, there's no way, even with ChatGPT, to know how to properly do all those things and work in your favor in your business without somebody who specializes in that. So I will say that's like the most important. And I don't think people even understand that if
They
you don't
don't.
pay taxes, they will garnish your personal bank account, meaning the account that you're on with your spouse or the account that you're on with your mother or whoever that you're on
Or
with.
even
If
your kids.
I was going to
Hmm.
say, if you're on an account with your children, all of those will be frozen and you will not have access to that money. It does not matter that you need groceries. It does not matter that your mortgage is due. And I don't say that to scare you, but just so you understand that, like, this is important in business and you need to know how to do it properly. We don't want to see anybody get into a scary situation like that. And it just trickles down. It ruins everything else. It's going to affect your credit and put you in a very scary,
Right.
livable situation. And then also, you can face jail time for tax evasion. Like that's a real
Right.
thing. It's a very like white collar crime, but it happens to like everyday
Yeah.
people.
No, it definitely does. And there's a difference too with like evading taxes and tax planning and like tax strategies, right? There's a lot of things that you could do to lower your tax liability to where you're not evading taxes or, avoiding those taxes, right? But you're legally lowering your taxes. So the tax code, guys, it's really meant for business owners. It's meant for business owners. It's meant for like real estate professionals. It's not meant for your everyday person. So there's so many things that we can do to lower our tax liability, so many different strategies. And it's so important for you to work with someone that's on your side and that understands and knows these strategies. And it's also very important for you to invest in the right person, in the right service, because you could go to anybody. Hell, you could even go to me and say, I want you to do my taxes. And let's say it's already, 2026 and we're doing 2025. I'm going to say, hey, there's only so much we could do now because the year already ended, right? Like we can't go back and we can't contribute into your retirement account. Well, I mean, technically we can up until a certain date, right?
There's a
But let's
deadline.
say it's past that date. Yeah. We can't go and like pay out bonuses or we can't put you on payroll or we can't do this, we can't do that because the year already ended. You have to tax plan throughout that current tax year for you to lower your tax liability, and it's so important
Mhm.
because not a lot of people, I feel like, know that. I feel like there's like a lot of like the educational aspect of that. A lot of people think that, okay, just because I'm going to go with a good tax preparer, they're going to immediately lower my tax liability by this much.
No.
And there's only so much that we could do. You have to work on tax planning throughout the year. And with my bookkeeping services, not every bookkeeper also, not every bookkeeper does this, but I'm very much like, okay, you're my bookkeeping client. I'm also doing taxes with you, and we're working all throughout the year together. So this is what we're going to start implementing, right? To lower your tax liability. And now, especially if you're meeting with me, we're able to work on this throughout the year. But then if you're not, and you just expect for your tax preparer to just pull all these strategies out of their ass when it's too late. Like, we can't do that, guys, right?
It's not just up to your tax preparer to do these things. You need to put in the work too. You need to
Mhm.
be the one opening the accounts, making the
Right.
transfers, keeping up with the different accounts, putting that strategy together. They're just here to give you the professional opinion and the guidance.
Mhm. Right. And that's something that I tell my clients too, also. It's like, guys, I'm here to give you the tools and the resources, but I can't go and I can't open an account under your name. I can't contribute into your retirement account because I have like no access to your bank accounts or anything like that. You know what I mean? So this is something that you're going to have to do. So this is also where the discipline comes in. Like, I could give you the tools and all the resources, but now it's up to you to actually put them in place. So now the next thing that I want to talk about that's holding you back is emotional spending, right? So this is a big one. Emotional spending could mean buying courses, decorations, tech, whatever to kind of feel productive. Also, like to touch on like the aesthetic side of it, it's like buying the newest machine that everybody's talking about, right? But not really understanding what all it means or what it's going to bring you, right? Like income wise. So I feel like all of that too, that's holding you back. So you really, really have to again take a step back and be intentional with the things that you're purchasing, the things that you're investing in your business.
I see that the most is the emotional spending. And I will say, yeah, it is on a lot of courses. And I'm somebody who offers courses in my business. And I don't talk about them a lot because of this. I really want somebody to organically and genuinely purchase it because they feel like I would be the best to educate them. I don't want to just do all these pain point trigger words to get people to purchase because they are like in a more desperate survival situation. But if you're looking at courses and you would not want to trade places with that person, and I mean, you're not just looking at do they say they're a six-figure esthetician, but can you tell that they're bringing home six figures? Are they secure? Is their business built to last? Are they scaling? All the things like that. You don't need to be
Even
learning from
even to
somebody
the
you
point,
wouldn't trade places with.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but even to the point it like the values, do they have the same values as me, right? Because that could also determine whether or not they're a good fit for you as, for the
Right.
course.
There's a lot of people who offer courses who are moms and not moms. If I'm a mom, I value another mother's perspective than I do maybe like a young 20s who maybe is single, doesn't even have a spouse yet. That looks very different for what they're going to teach me compared to what my lifestyle looks like. So that's very important too. But I see so much of the newest trendy product or trendy machine that everybody's purchasing because they see this esthetician or that esthetician be really successful with it. You don't even know if they're successful with it. They're just making content with it. That doesn't mean it's booked out on their schedule. They've already got their return of investment, their ROI on it. When you buy something like a hydrofacial, have you already talked it up to your clients? Have you already seen if your clients are interested in something like that? Is it something that already layers into your menu well and makes sense with the other services that are on your menu? Not only like the type of services you do, but does it make sense price wise? We don't want to go from somebody offering services at 150 or less, and then all of a sudden they want to bring in a hydrofacial where the services are $275. Does that make sense for you? That's really important. And the same thing with products. Are you bringing on a skincare line, talking about aesthetics specifically? Are you bringing it on because it's trendy? They have really good marketing. You see lots of TikTok marketing and you see other successful estheticians be successful with it? Or are you bringing it in because it makes sense for your brand? The price point aligns with your clientele or the price point within your business. How much of that product or that service do you need to do to get your return of investment? How much are you going to have to be putting into that product to be repurchasing every month or for the supplies for your machine to be repurchasing every month, your consumables? Does all of that make sense for your business? What's going to be your marketing strategy behind it? Are you going to be doing a promotion? I'm not a big believer in promotion. I don't do promos in my business, but a lot of people do. Are you going to do a promotion strategy? I personally don't do promotions because I do such a good job talking it up to my clients before it even comes in, at least 2 months before. And then we do email marketing, we do social media marketing, text blasts. I do all that instead of offering a discount for the first month. So it's just about what makes sense to you. And then, but with the emotional spending, it's also the emotional discounting. That's like a
Right.
huge issue in the industry is either letting a client manipulate you or just feeling bad for them. So you're offering a discount. Number one, you're probably not even verbalizing that you gave them a discount. So they're not going to realize it or value it. I see that happen a lot when I do coaching. Or it's like they've had a client come in and do this service at this price point for so long, but you know this service would be really good for them and benefit them, but they can't afford it. So you're going to give it to them at this price point. But you don't even tell them that you're doing that. It would be better to offer that service to them and say, hey, this is what the price point looks like. If we can do that today, it's great. Or if we need to plan on it later on down the road, maybe spread your appointments a little bit further so you're able to do that treatment. Let me know so we can make sure it makes sense for you because it would benefit you so much more towards your goals by doing this, and this. And you may even need fewer treatments down the road because we're getting to your goal quicker per treatment and spreading it further apart so that financially it makes more sense for you. That's personally what I do in my business. I'm not somebody that is like, my clients have to come every 4 weeks in order to get results. They don't even have to come every 6 weeks or 8 weeks. I have a lot of clients that come every 12 weeks, but we do higher end services because number one, they're going to get them more results. It's going to create more change in their skin and it's going to align with where they want to be at their endpoint a lot quicker in fewer treatments, which is then going to save them money on the back end. And in return, it makes my business more profit per service, and I'm able to fill all the other gaps with new clients or returning clients who do want to come more frequently, have the budget for more frequently. I get asked a lot how I keep my schedule at the capacity where it is, where it's about 6 to 9 clients a day, and it's because I don't force them to commit to a closer together schedule. We really talk about these higher end treatments and what would be good for them results wise if we spread it out a little bit further. So thinking about that in your business too, instead of just emotionally discounting it, you've got to verbalize because they're not going to value
Mhm.
it. And then also, clients probably won't value it anyways, even if you do verbalize it, and they're going to expect that from you every time. So then when you give a discount, it does kind of lower your value, unfortunately. That's just the way our mind works. And then people kind of get into this habit where they want to kind of manipulate that out of you or expect that from you every time. So please stop emotionally discounting. There was like this trend recently too that was like, sometimes I give a product away for free because I know it would benefit the client, and that's just the esthetician I am. And I was just like, I get the marketing strategy behind it, and I love that that is what's in your heart. You're just creating a not so healthy boundary. There are going to be some clients that really value that and appreciate that and never expect you to do that ever again. However, that's not the vast majority. And I kind of hated that trend because I felt like it was going to give the wrong impression to a newer esthetician that you need to be emotionally discounting like that in order to keep and retain the client and to have more clients come to you. And that's just not how it works.
Right.
You're just creating a really, really unhealthy boundary that's going to trickle on down for months to come with that client. And that's going to be expected all the time. And they're not going to value you and your time. And it is going to hinder you financially. I would rather have a very open and honest conversation with my client, like in the consultation or during like a mini consultation. I have a whole in-depth course on consultations and how to do this, but I'd rather have a very genuine conversation about my client's budget, where they stand and what makes sense for them. I always ask them, how frequently do you see yourself coming in for treatment? And if they don't know, I say, well, if we're doing a treatment that roughly costs about this much, how frequently does coming in make sense for you at that budget? I want to know what works for you because I'm going to put a plan together that meets your budget so that you can do this consistently, even if it is spread a little further apart, because you reach your goal by consistency, not by sprinting for 3 or 4 appointments. So, learning how to do that with your clients and being comfortable having that conversation, it also just builds trust with them because they're going to feel like you genuinely care about them and you're putting together a plan that works best for them. You retain a client by taking that approach instead of like throwing in a free moisturizer in their bag because you know they can't afford it. I hated that trend so much. I can't even explain it to you. And I am like, this is the downfall of some new estheticians. And I get it's a good marketing trend because it kind of builds trust with your audience. Like you have a good heart, they trust you, whatever, but you're also inviting a clientele that expects that of you.
Hmm. And we talked about it too when we talked about like in the previous episode of like discounting services and how to do it, right? There's other ways that we can show that trust to the client. If it's going to be like one of those little like products that you get right from the company and it's like the travel sizes or whatever that's not costing you, okay, maybe, right? But then if you're like giving it to every single client or multiple clients in a day, that's also going to drain your profit because that's a product that you could have turned around and sold. There's different ways, like Haley said, to really show that trust in your client. And all these patterns that we went over, they do create a false sense of progress, but they actually drain your profit in reality. So we really again want to be very intentional on what we do. And I hope that we are not coming off as like greedy or whatever, but there's ways to go around things, right? Like also Haley, like you have like a loyalty program too. So
I do,
you
yeah.
yeah, so it's like she gives discounts or rewards or whatever the case is to her clients that are loyal instead of those new clients. So she's keeping all the right clients and attracting all the right clients, right? So
We do lots of things to give back to
mhm,
our clients so that I don't feel bad for not emotionally discounting.
mhm,
And these things that I've implemented, I can kind of share them with y'all. They've helped me build an even stronger business. I have a
yeah.
loyalty program, so if they pre-book and keep it, meaning they're booking with me at the current appointment for 1 to 3 future appointments and they don't have to reschedule or cancel, I give them a small discount on the service. On our website, we have a rewards program. So when they purchase, they're earning points for every dollar spent, and those dollars can be redeemed towards money off their next appointment. But I will say too that like be mindful of emotionally discounting. And I want to give an example because it made me so frustrated in my business. And it's kind of like making sure you're not setting bad boundaries with clients. I had a client back in the summer reach out and want to come in, and she let me know up front that she doesn't really have the budget. Her expectations were, let's do 1 or 2 microneedling treatments, and I expect it to take 5 to 10 years off my skin, but I'm not going to do a routine. Everybody in my field knows that that is not the best approach. Microneedling is an expensive service because it costs us a lot of money to buy the supplies. It requires medical oversight and additional insurance. I do not want to set this client up to fail and to have bad expectations because she thinks 1 to 2 microneedling treatments based off seeing some TikToks are going to change her skin when she's not doing the prep every day at home. So I had a conversation with her and I was like, I'm not going to do microneedling for you. There's plenty of other places that will if you're not on a routine, but I'm not doing that. It's not going to set you up for success. We need to start virtually and have you do a routine. Once you do that routine for about 2 months, we can talk about one microneedling treatment. We can see your results after and see how you feel and see if this is something you want to continue to invest in. However, one treatment's not going to take 5 years off of what you're seeing or what I just want to make sure that we understand that expectation, right? She gave me lots and lots of pushback. I stuck to my guns and I was like, this is the process. Then I started noticing a string of really bad behavior. Every time we would do a sale, she would hit me up after the sale. One day it was more than 2 weeks after the sale and was just like, I missed it. Do you mind still honoring it for me? It's the only way that I can buy my products. And I was like, I am so sorry. I cannot. We ran this sale for like however many days. It was a long sale. I want to say like 7 to 8 days, which is far too long for a sale. And we'll talk about sales strategy after Black Friday. But I did that for a certain reason in my business. When I was like outside of how long I ran it for, I'm not able to honor it one off like this. Like we sent 3 emails, 2 text messages. We posted about it every day on social media. We had the banner on our website. We made contact every day somehow, social media or whatever, to let you know about the sale. Well, then the next one came up and it was the same thing. Hey, the sale ended and you weren't available because it was my off day. So, would you honor it now? And I was like, no, again, we sent out so much emails, texts, all the things, social media posts. I gave everybody a warning 3 days before it launched, like I always do. Like there was a full week to get in touch with us before we did the sale, but I can't honor it after, or else I would have to do that for everybody. And then every day would be a sale. And that made her really upset and she quit communicating with me. But I was like, honestly, that's probably not my ideal client, and I'm not going to just emotionally discount because I feel like it's becoming like a manipulation strategy, and I don't want this to continue to happen every time we do a sale once a quarter. So that's just like a good example of what continues to happen. And it was just so like I would get to work like on the Monday back or the Tuesday back after the sale and read the email and just be over here like, I'm already doing so much. I have the loyalty program, the rewards program, I'm doing sales. I don't get paid to pack those orders on my off time. And when I do a sale, it takes me like 2 weeks to do all the orders. I'm going above and beyond. We're paying for the email marketing. We're paying for the text marketing. I'm paying to update my website so there's banners. I'm paying somebody to help me with social media so everybody knows. I'm giving warnings and I'm available for free to redo your routine through text messages. And then I'm like, this person is making me feel very used and abused. And like, do I want that to continue if I just emotionally discount her and say, sure, like, it's 20 days after, like, go ahead, let me make a special code just for you. I don't want y'all to get into the pattern of doing that because people will try it. Also, too, a lot of people have a bad mindset of we make so much money as small business owners, which is true if you're strategic about it, but you can also not make a lot of money as a small business
Right.
owner. So just having those boundaries and knowing what that looks like. And I just told her in the last email where she quit communicating with me, like, hey, we already do all of these other things to try to give back. Outside of that, I'm not able to do anymore.
Yeah, and it's all about the communication, right? And the boundaries, like we mention all the time. But all of that still affects like your bottom line, like all
Yes.
these things, if you give in, like it's all holding you back. And a lot of the reasons why these habits happen, it's like fear of facing reality when you're avoiding your numbers or avoiding taxes, lack of systems or financial education, or believing money management is only for accountants, right? But understanding your numbers isn't optional. It's how you build stability, right? And you can't fix what you don't measure. So I'm just like, this is the not so fun of running a business is looking at the numbers and like coming up with a plan and like looking at your return of investments of like equipment and machines and things like that. But those are things that are non-negotiable that you have to do as a business owner. So smarter financial habits to help you right in the future. You're going to want to separate your accounts. You want to have a business checking, a tax savings account, and then separate your personal, right? You want to pay yourself consistently. What we've talked about is even small amounts can create structure. The tracking your income and expenses. So you want to either do your bookkeeping or hire a bookkeeper, keep track of your income and keep track of your expenses and exactly what you're spending your money on. That leads to my next habit is you want to review your P&L, your profit and loss monthly. See where your money's actually going. This is going to be so important. You also want to plan for taxes. You want to set aside a percentage of your income automatically into that tax account. And then you want to use different softwares that will simplify things, right? So if you don't outsource your bookkeeping, you want to take a look at spreadsheets. You want to take a look at QuickBooks, right? You want to take a look at different softwares or in your booking software. You want to make sure that they capture all kinds of the reports that you need so you could take a look at what your income is. I know there's some booking softwares that also allow you to do the bookkeeping within, right? And things like that. So you just have to stay consistent and with it and use those softwares that will help you read these reports or just simplify things, right? So financial peace
Well,
doesn't come. Mhm.
on our website, aren't you going to have things to help them try to figure that out on
Yes.
by themselves, those resources? You want to tell them what those
Yes.
are before you
Yes, of
finish?
course. So I could actually go into that right now. On our website, we are going to have spreadsheets for you that I created, and it's going to automatically like calculate everything for you. So there's a bookkeeping one to where if you're not ready to outsource your bookkeeping, you at least have to do the bookkeeping yourself. So in that spreadsheet, it's a Google Sheets where you're able to just go in and type in all of your transactions and select whatever drop down it best fits. So I have drop downs for pretty much everything like advertising, marketing, the drop down for like rent, supplies, and you postage, whatever you need. It's most likely going to be in that drop down. So you'll select that drop down, and then there's going to be a tab where it's going to automatically calculate everything that you put in in that page. So it's going to create an income statement. So an income statement is very similar to a profit and loss. So you're going to see exactly how much money you made, and then it's going to categorize based off of the drop downs the transactions for you automatically. So if you're not ready to outsource yet, right, your bookkeeping, this is a form of you doing your own bookkeeping. It's budget friendly, and you're able to take a look every month and take a look at your income statement and take a look at what, you're actually truly spending in your business. That's a spreadsheet that we're going to put on our website that you could purchase. And something that I was going to mention earlier is financial peace doesn't come from making more, it comes from having control. So once you actually understand and have control of what you're spending and how you're spending, that's when you're truly going to have financial peace, because you're going to say, okay, well, this is how much money I brought in. This is how much I'm actually profiting. And now, based off of this profit, then I could go ahead and allocate into, a retirement account, or add into my savings account, or do whatever I need to do. Right. So, those are just things that will definitely help you have that peace. And money reflects behavior. So, if you treat it with chaos, it will act chaotic. And you have to learn to manage money with confidence, not fear. We don't want to do things with fear, right? Because then that's what you're going to attract. And stop saying, this is something that I don't like hearing, is stop saying, oh, I'm bad with money, or I'm broke, or like, no, guys, like, we need to completely switch that vocab and say, okay, well, I actually have a plan with my money now, instead of like, I'm bad with money. No, I have a plan to where now I know what's going to happen with my money. And stop saying like, I'm broke. Even though you may feel like you're broke, just say it's not in the budget right now, right? Because if you keep on saying, I'm broke, that's the type of mindset you're going to have. And you're going to have that broke mindset. And that's not what we want. Right. And again, like, the goal isn't perfection. It's just more awareness. These are things that you need to be aware of and understand. You don't want to get stuck in these habits, right?
Yeah, we're going to talk about mindset in the Patreon because I feel like that is my specialty. I could give you manifestations for days, but when she's saying it's not about perfection, it's just about awareness. When you think about scaling, like what we named our podcast, scaling isn't just like a whoop, I jump to the top and I stay
Mm.
right there. You're slowly building and getting a little bit better week by week, month by month, year by year. That is how you scale. Nobody expects your business or your finances or anything like that to be perfect from the jump and stay there. You're just constantly finding ways to pivot and make yourself and your business better and better every week.
Right. If you haven't already, just go ahead and get involved in our Patreon, because we do break down a lot of these money mindsets, and we also talk a lot about like our personal stuff too in the Patreon. So consistency beats income every time, guys. Six-figure habits are what makes a six-figure business, right? And keep in mind, like what we said earlier, just because your business is six figures doesn't mean that you're six figures. You don't have to be six figures to feel like successful or be successful, but we do want a good profit margin. We want to make sure that you guys are bringing home a good amount to fit your lifestyle. Is there anything else that you wanted to add, Haley?
No, I think that was everything. We can hop on over to Patreon.
Okay.
Okay, guys, thanks for tuning into Scaling Beautifully. We hope today's conversation gave you some clarity and confidence. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you love today's topic, share them with another beauty pro who's ready to scale. Until next time, keep serving your clients with passion and running your business with purpose.
And if you're loving the podcast, we'd love for you to join our community beyond the audio. Head over to our YouTube channel where you can watch full video episodes and behind the scenes content. And if you want to go even deeper, check out our Patreon. That's where we share bonus trainings, downloadable resources, and exclusive Q&As to help you scale beautifully. You'll find the links in the show notes. So we'll talk then. Y'all have a good one.
Bye, guys.